Good morning. Welcome back to Daybreak on this 7th day of January 2020. And you're just in time for news review. It's now 15 minutes to 7 o'clock. My name is Sam Gituku.
And my name is Nziki Piku.
And we start by introducing our panelists today. We have Gladys Wanga, the Member of Parliament for Homa Bay County. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you, Sam.
Gladys Boshelei, the Member of Parliament for us in Gishu County. Karibu sana and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to you.
All right, and unfortunately we have apologies from Sabina Shege. She's unwell this morning. She's not able to join the panel, but all the same, the show continues. And I want to just give you an opportunity to open the year and tell us how it is for you and what you're looking forward to in as far as your work or your job as a legislator is concerned in this year 2020. Honorable Wanga.
Yep. So Happy New Year and Happy New Year to all viewers. This is our first show this year. We're looking forward to a year of service, looking at Homa Bay, for example, where I've been elected. I'm looking forward to working with the women, and especially young people, on their empowerment programs. I have 3 bills in the National Assembly, which I was hoping to push through this year. The National Hospital Referrals Bill that looks at having level 5 facilities in all our counties and having money from the national government go directly to hospitals. The Social Workers Bill that looks at creating a cadre for social workers and the Cancer Amendment Bill, which is already on the floor, which I look forward to pushing through, which makes cancer diagnosis, a part of primary health care, so that if you go to the dispensary, that can be a service that you receive at that level. So I have those 3 bills that I'll be looking at in the National Assembly, but I'll also be looking at working with the people of Homa Bay, especially women, youth, persons with disabilities, to create empowerment for themselves under the affirmative action, our affirmative action mandate.
Right. What do you think about the 3% tax? Since from what you've said is, talking about a lot of empowering for young people and women. That 3% tax announcement came right after we just got into the new year.
I think nobody wants to hear about tax at this point because everybody is struggling. The small businesses are struggling. And I think there was a lot, even in the Jamhuri Day speech of the president, around how to ease business for small businesses. Right. And this was in the finance bill of last year. I think otherwise, this should be looked at. Whether we want to slap small businesses with a 3% tax when they are struggling. So I think it is up to us legislators to look at it in the upcoming finance bill and see whether we want to keep, because KRA would not be levying it unless it is in the finance bill. Right. So it is in the Finance Act, and that is why it is being levied. So it is upon us really to look at it.
Before she can give her view about the new year, I'm just interested in what you're saying, and what would your comment be if there has to be equality of taxation, so that every person who gets some income has also to make their contribution in financing the operations and service delivery in the country?
And that is a good point, because the rest of us the rest of the businesses above 5 million shillings are paying VAT. You have to remit your 16%. The smaller businesses have been given 3%, which would be their contribution. But I'm just talking about the timing, because small businesses are struggling. You're listening to the conversation of Kenyans around how the economy is performing currently. And of course, you need the taxes to, ride the economy. But it was the same discussion we had around the fuel levy last year. Because we were saying, the president said, okay, look, you have all these things to fund. So that is how we had a conversation that moved the fuel levy from 16% to 8%, So we met somewhere midway. So that is the kind of conversation that we'll be looking at, so that our small businesses are not crying too much about the timing of the taxation. But everybody has to contribute some, as you say correctly. But then there are times when people have to have a conversation around, like last time we would have had a 16% levy on fuel. Right. But then because we had a conversation around how Kenyans were struggling, we met halfway at 8%.
Right.
Yeah.
Honorable Shelley, Happy New Year to you too. Your own personal goals and what you're looking forward to in terms of being, a woman in the political leadership.
Yeah, Happy New Year to everybody, to all Kenyans and particularly citizens and the people of Wasingishu who have supported me the whole of this year. I think, first of all, you know, I was looking at my diary and it says, in everything, give thanks to the Lord. So for me, just being able to see 2020 is a blessing enough. Yeah, because there are many people who haven't got the opportunity to see 2020.
Sure.
And it gives me an opportunity to be grateful for that I'm here, but also reminds me that I have a lot to do, that I have to recommit myself to serve the people of Wasingishu, to do and undertake the tasks that I promised them. And so I always write down at the beginning of the year my goals for the year. And I have had to relook, and there are lessons that I learned from last year on the kind of work that I was doing on the ground. I've received a lot of feedback from the people of Wasingishu, what they think I did right and they think I didn't do right. And I'm working on that to make sure that I have a marked improvement this year, and also that I clearly understand their priorities now and the challenges that they are facing. On my legislative work, I know that I've done commendably well in my committee and in being able to contribute to debate in Parliament, but I've also learned lessons from that. I now know what to do to ensure that your bill moves faster, to be able to get things faster on the floor of the House, how to lobby members. So this is actually, after 2 years, it's a big learning curve, and so I think I'll be a better performer. And I'm clear about, I think I'm hopeful about that.
Any political event this year that you're keeping an eye on, and why that one? Event or
discourse?
Discourse, yes.
No, I think BBI is a big issue. I think considering what has been raised on the headlines of the Standard. So I was quite actually shocked to hear that I think Honorable Orengo said that we will have a referendum. But again, there is nothing in the BBI that requires a referendum at all. And so how one decides that there is going to be a referendum, that's a bit worrying. Because as I've always said, just go and check. Only 6 articles require a referendum. And in BBI, none of those articles are being created. Not even the position of Prime Minister requires a referendum. Even the issue of establishing a new commission does not require a referendum. Actually, in terms of commissions, the Chapter 15 commissions are protected from being touched, but it does not prohibit creation under a parliamentary process, legislative process to make that amendment. So I've looked at BBI 100 times. I am sure that it does not require a referendum. That's so I'm hoping that this particular year, we can finish with this BBI process and put it behind us so that we focus on development.
June, July.
Because that is what, because no, you must realize something. The thing is, BBI has become about succession. BBI has taken over the development agenda. We have forgotten agenda for, and we are talking about BBI. We did it the whole of last year. And in fact, if you look at the first paragraph of the BBI report, it states that the BBI process was the most consultative process in Kenya's history. So if you have consulted that widely, and it is the best in history, why do we need to go back to the people for a second phase, spend money to decide what? And yet already it's been set out, whatever they need to set out is in the BBI.
And so we'll get to that conversation, so allow me to cut you short. We'll get back and
please let's get to it, because it's very important. Because now I'm thinking to myself, last year we had a very bad economy. Kenyans are suffering.
We can do it again this year.
We can do it again this year.
All right, I want us to begin with what's in the dailies. Honorable Wanga will give you an opportunity to reflect on that in depth.
And I'd like to make a comment on this tax at some point.
Right, okay. So before you do that, on the front page of the Standard, you'll see the front story, the main story there is why Raila's party wants a referendum. ODM rally supporters to back a fresh round of proposals for handshake report, saying reforms must be subjected to a popular vote to change the country's structure of government. And then at the top there, you'll see that Kikuyu elders fight over Ruto millions. They are asking the question, carcass for hounds? Community leaders who were in a delegation to Deputy President Sugoi home last month are locked in a bitter row over 8 million shilling handout. So we do not know whether that is the truth or... but that's the report, the story that you see on page 6 of the Standard, that you see an official claims each of the 4,770 people who attended the meeting was to be given an allowance, and some people had fundraised money for transport logistics, and the DP reportedly topped up this amount. The official explained drivers of the over 100 vehicles that ferried people to the event were each given between 1,000 shillings and 1,500 shillings. We do not know whether that is the truth, but that's the report on the Standard. Then on the front page of the Standard still, you see the Sonko stars a fresh battle with DPP of a deputy, and that's the story that I want us to begin with. I don't know whether we want to reflect a bit on what's on the front page of the Daily Nation.
Definitely, yes. On the Daily Nation, KRA hits small traders with the new patriotism tax. We'll discuss that in just a little bit. Also on page 6, Miguna gets all clear to land today. His flight lands at 9 p.m. We're keeping an eye on that story as well. Referendum. Uhuru, Raila and Ruto face off allies. That's on page 8 as well. Matters Sonko picks his deputy. That story is on page 4, and that is where we've left it. The embattled city governor nominated amid debates on the legality of the move.
Of that action. And I think we begin with that. Of course, you've seen the governor of Nairobi has been barred from office for a couple of weeks now, since he was arraigned and released on bail. Honorable Wanga, do you think it's within his right to go ahead and pick a nominee for the deputy governorship, despite the fact that he's been barred from office?
No, I think if you read Nguga's ruling, it is very clear that the barring is not from the physical space; it's from performing functions of the office. Because in any case, you know, governors can work from anywhere. I mean, you can go to the office, but many times you're even in the field, actually, you know, visiting projects and so on. So I think it would be foolhardy to think that the ruling spoke to you about physically, you know, going to office. It's about performance of the functions of the office of governor. So I think the advisors of the governor on that matter maybe have not reviewed Nguga's ruling sufficiently, or are, you know, wanted to test the waters as to the extent of the ruling. But I think the DPP has come in. I mean, I really just hope that Governor Sonko can be advised, you know, to go by the terms of his bail, so that he does not land into further, you know, further trouble. So. I think they should just advise to go slow. But, you know, we were in a new situation in Nairobi where there's now no deputy governor, and that's I think that's the dilemma. That's the desperation that has set in, that who's going to do this. What I'd like to ask is, I think they have requested an opinion from the Supreme Court and also requested an opinion from the Attorney General. So we hope that the Attorney General and maybe the Supreme Court can come in and give opinions on how the case in Nairobi should be handled, because it's unique. But for Sonko to go ahead and appoint a deputy governor, I think was misadvised.
Right. Honorable Shile, at the end of the day, our constitution really doesn't have a clear predictability guideline on what happens if a deputy governor resigns, is impeached, or dies. See what has happened to Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya, of East Africa, the gateway into East Africa as well. How do you think we should go about closing that loophole?
Yes,
so
I think this is a challenge of when we get new laws and then they are not properly, they have not matured enough.
Right.
So because Kenya is a common law system, you find that the constitution will say, will make overarching policy guidelines, yeah, so to speak. But then the details would usually be in legislation, and then further details would be in regulations. And then in case of doubt, people would go to the court, and the court's interpretation would actually form judge-made law. So because we haven't tested this situation enough, we don't have a guideline in Kenya. And luckily, with the new constitution, we have the Supreme Court. So the right way is to go for an advisory opinion from the Supreme Court. But it has also brought to light a lot of challenges that we are facing. Because you ask yourself, one, if you say that a governor is barred from...
Deputy governor.
No, let's talk first about the issue of governor, then I'll come to the deputy.
All right.
A governor is charged. Then they are told that you cannot perform your duties, you cannot go into office at all. First of all, we are touching on the presumption of innocence. Because remember, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty. Number two, by the time you are charged, the DPP has collected all evidence.
Right.
Everything should be lock, key, and even the charged person is handed over all the evidence against them. So it's not, I don't understand what they mean, interfere with the evidence.
And or witnesses. You know, there are some functions. If you're performing your functions as
Hold on,
governor.
I think let me just finish the explanation, then you can talk about the witnesses. Okay? So you will find that all evidence has been collected already by the time a person is being charged. Question is, look at a situation where, as the electorate, you've elected somebody. It's very easy for me to trump up charges against you and keep you out of office until your term ends. So again, we should be asking ourselves, should we put in some system so that a case like this can be had within a week? If all evidence is available, it can be had on a day-to-day basis to completion. So that if the person is being convicted, they are convicted and therefore they are out of office automatically, or they are charged. So the challenge we have here is we want to keep the person out of office, but we don't want to speed the trial.
Shouldn't the expediting be done for everyone who is charged?
Yes, that's exactly. But I'm saying, you know, when you rank cases all over the world, you'll find that certain cases can get very high priority because of the nature.
Okay.
So
this is one of them.
now, a deputy.
Yeah. Then now, for him to, in the case of appointing the deputy, I need to read more closely the judgment of Justice Mubingugi in order to understand, I mean, what clearly she was barring the governor from doing. But when things like this happen, for me, I enjoy it as a lawyer because it's a great opportunity for us to get a pronouncement on it, and then we can put the matter to rest going forward. But it now has told us that the Senate has to work very hard to ensure that we put laws in place and systems in place should something like this happen. And you'll see that the Constitution is very elaborate. In case the governor dies, we have the deputy. Takes over immediately and completes the term. The same thing for the president and the deputy president. Because they do not want a situation where there's a vacuum.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why we say even an MP, if an MP is unable to perform their duties or dies in office, you must have elections within such and such, by-elections within such and such period. Because, as they say, justice abhors and law abhors a vacuum.
A vacuum. But Honorable Shelley, that you should say that the DPP has already collected all the evidence that they need. What would be your response? Because Justice Mubingugi said that you cannot be the person who is accused of corruption, embezzling resources, and then you're taken back to the office to oversee implementation of the same resources.
I'm not questioning, I'm not talking about the morality, the legality, or the practicality of this issue. I'm just talking that there is a gap in the law.
Okay.
Because in the public service, when you are charged, you then go on half pay and you're out of office until your matter is concluded. If it's concluded, you come back. The rules are there. So at the end of the day, and then the same thing is with judges. If you're found that you must answer to a tribunal, then what happens is you again are on half pay. You don't hear any cases until such time as you returned. We should have a similar laws in the situation of a governor.
Okay, Honorable Wanga, at the end of the day, given Nairobi's unique situation, how do we balance between what the court has already said, but also knowing that Nairobi is a day-to-day county that needs running, discharge of Sonko's duties versus him stepping into office, right?
And this is why I was saying that they have sought an opinion from the Attorney General and the Supreme Court on these matters. We hope that that can be expedited so that we are told, okay, the CECs can continue to do their work, so that opinion will guide the running of Nairobi as a county.
In the public service, the third in command would even take over. But you see, in this one, there is a vacuum. And that's what I'm saying, this is a very good opportunity that we clarify this matter.
Yeah, so if the Supreme Court or the Attorney General, both the Attorney General and the Supreme Court can give the opinion, I think that would be good. And then I just wanted to add on the issue of you know, if you read Justice Ngugi's ruling, what she says is when a governor is sick, for example, you know, incapacitated, you know, by illness, they would have to let the deputy governor take over the duties. That is one of the grounds for removal of governor from, not removal of governor giving way for the deputy governor to take over the duties. So Justice Ngugi says in her ruling that when a governor is charged with corruption, it can be conceived that that governor is morally sick. You know, and in which case the deputy governor should continue to. And then the other thing is, you know, when the governor is charged, most probably the witnesses are maybe CCs, they work within the county, you know, and if the governor is allowed to continue to execute his duties, and this is not just about Nairobi, this is about anywhere, the governor could easily even threaten the witnesses with sacking and things like those that would then make
but it's very capable also to intimidate witnesses even when you're outside.
No, but you see, it reduces. It doesn't mean you have to be in office to intimidate them. It reduces. You know, if I tell you I'm going to fire you, you know, with my pen, so that pen is taken away. So you can intimidate me, but you can't, for example, remove me from my office because you don't have the power.
And that's why you have bail terms. Your bail terms, a lot of bail terms prohibit you from interfering with witnesses or having any contact with them or having any power over them.
All right, I want us to listen to the governor of Nairobi, that is Mike Sonko, on what he had to say yesterday in making that announcement. That was quite clear. Just listen in.
I do hereby nominate -- to the position of deputy governor. To the position of deputy governor. This decision is in line with Article 180 sub-Article 5 of the Constitution of Kenya and the Supreme Court advisory of March 2018. I therefore humbly urge the Assembly to expedite the vetting process, Whatever County Assembly, the vetting process of the said nominee for purposes of appointment as per the provisions of the County Government Act, Section 8, subsection 1A. I hope you have put the correct sections.
Well, that is the governor of Nairobi. He's asking his officers that I hope you have put the right quotations. But, I mean, what do you think? Because he's now giving instructions to the county assembly, but still making a light moment of it, how should the assembly take it?
I think what the assembly should do, and that's why I'm saying, as Gladys says, we have to expedite this opinion. We have to know it's of such great urgency in this country that this matter is settled. Right. Because even just the way you're asking me the question, we are all asking the question. We'll all have our different opinions, but the only way all these opinions can be argued before the Supreme Court is the way you can now, is when the Supreme Court will listen to all the different arguments, what Gladys has probably said, what I've said, what many people have said, and then come up with a decision. Because now we'd just be speculating.
Okay. Right. Okay, all right. I don't know if they have something to before we take a short break.
No, I think the matter is, I think, you know, governor sitting there and having flags behind him and so on. Really, it's not about the physical space. You know, he really must be advised to just adhere to the terms of his bail. Otherwise, I mean, pushing him into further trouble is really...
yeah, but I think one of the surprising things is where the court failed us is Justice Ngugi should have taken judicial notice of the fact that Nairobi County did not have a governor. So surely she could even have put some obiter dicta, something about...
Even though at the time, the judgment was not based specifically on Nairobi, it's only that it's a matter of precedence. But
no, but sometimes, you know, you can pronounce on the main issues before the court, but you can also make some what we call obiter dicta remarks. Yes, which can be of persuasive value.
But you'd have to be requested by the council before you.
No. You take. I mean, the issues that were argued before the court, they were sufficient for her to make those obiter remarks. And they could have given us some slight guideline.
All right. Of course, we continue the conversation. Text in your views 22422 or at Twitter's at Citizen TV Kenya. Tamgituko @Zinzi_K. The hashtag to use is Daybreak. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll be talking about the return of Miguna. It's expected this evening, I believe. We don't know whether it will succeed because we've seen that the Immigration Department has said that as long as he has the correct documentation, then he'll be allowed back into the country. Text us your views again on those lines that we've given out to you. So we take a short break. We'll be back in a moment.